This video dives into the chilling world of true crime. Like, comment, and subscribe now for more stories that haunt the night. The late November chill wrapped around Toronto like a damp blanket, the kind that seeped into your bones and made the city lights feel colder. It was Friday, November 24th, 2017, and Tess Ritchie, a 22-year-old with a bright smile and a spirit that lit up any room, stepped out of an Uber in the heart of the church, Wellesley. Her dark hair fell in loose waves over her shoulders, her blue eyes sparkling with the mix of excitement and nerves that came from a night out after a rough week. Tess had just wrapped up her flight services program at Seneca College that April, her diploma, a ticket to dreams of jet-setting careers with airlines or hotel jobs in the city. But life in Toronto was a grind. She juggled shifts at a downtown coffee bar, slinging lattes to rushed commuters, while firing off applications and crashing at her sister Rachel's midtown apartment when rent pinched too tight. Born the youngest of 5 daughters in North Bay, Ontario, Tess was the family's spark. Spoiled with love, but toughened by it. Always protective of her siblings, quick to laugh over shared meals or inside jokes. Rachel, her only sister in Toronto, called her best friend and soulmate, the one who'd drag her to dog parks or impromptu shopping sprees, turning ordinary days into adventures. That afternoon, Tess had spent hours at Rachel's, the two sisters curled up with takeout and board games, the air filled with easy chatter about Tess's breakup with her boyfriend Julian just the day before. Tears mixed with giggles as Tess vented, her voice cracking over the pain of it all. But by evening, she bounced back, makeup flawless and outfit on point, a black sweater, tights, and high-heeled boots that clicked against the hardwood floor. "I need this," she told Rachel around 11:30 p.m., hugging her tight before heading out the door, her Uber waiting to whisk her to Cruise and Tangos, a lively drag bar on Church Street, known for its vibrant crowd of students and young queer folks. It was a spot Tess loved for the energy, the performances that made her forget the job hunt blues. She texted Rachel a quick, "Made it safe," upon arrival, slipping inside where the bass thumped and lights pulsed, the scent of spilled cocktails and perfume hanging thick. Tess ordered a drink, her body swaying to the music, her phone buzzing with a message from an old high school friend from North Bay, Riley Samard, whom she hadn't seen in 2.5 years. "Coming to meet you," Riley replied. And soon the two reconnected amid the chaos, hugs and shots flowing as they caught up on lost time, laughter bubbling over the breakup woes and city life gripes. The night blurred into a haze of alcohol and abandon, the bar's energy pulling them deeper, shots of vodka chasing beers until the world softened at the edges. By 1:30 a.m., security nudged them toward the door, the girls stumbling out into the crisp air, their arms linked as they giggled over nothing, the street alive with late-night stragglers. They wandered to a hot dog cart at the corner of Church and Wellesley, the vendor's grill sizzling under the sodium lights, mustard and onions sharp in the night breeze. There, amid the steam and chatter, they bumped into a small group, a woman smoking outside her nearby house on Dundonald Street, her friend beside her, and a tall, unassuming guy in his early 20s who blended into the background like fog. He was Kalen Schlatter, 24, a contract worker who did exterior repairs on properties, his lanky frame clad in a hoodie and jeans, his face forgettable under the street lamp's glow. The group struck up a conversation, easy and loose. Tess opening up about her fresh breakup, her voice slurring slightly as she leaned on Riley, the stranger offering quiet comfort, his words soft, almost soothing. Michelle Teep, the woman from Dundonald, later recalled Tess, seeming sad despite the fun, her eyes misty as she talked about Julian, the group's laughter, a thin veil over the vulnerability. Around 3:30 a.m., the vibe shifted when Riley's phone buzzed, a text from her boyfriend urging her home. She hugged Tess goodbye, promising to link up soon, and headed west toward the College Street streetcar, her heels clicking into the distance. Tess lingered with the group a bit longer, the alcohol warming her against the chill Schlatter sticking close, his presence unremarkable but persistent. By 3:45 a.m., they parted ways, Michelle and her friend, heading inside, leaving Tess and Schlatter to walk north on Church Street, their steps uneven in the quiet pre-dawn hours. Surveillance cameras caught them hand in hand, an odd couple stumbling toward 582 Church Street, a nondescript house shuttered for renovations, its gravel driveway crunching underfoot. The footage showed them veering into the alley beside the building, disappearing down the narrow outdoor stairwell to the basement apartment, the darkness swallowing them whole. Schlatter emerged alone 45 minutes later, around 4:30 a.m., his hoodie pulled low, his pace quick as he retraced his steps south, vanishing into the night's remnants. Tess never reappeared, her phone going dark, her laughter silenced in the stairwell shadows. Saturday dawned, gray and drizzly, Rachel stirring in her midtown apartment with a hangover haze, her first text to Tess at 8:45 a.m. Casual. Morning, wild child. You survived? No reply came, the message hanging undelivered by evening, a knot of worry tightening in Rachel's chest. She called hospitals, her voice rising with each unhelpful receptionist. Then the police, her plea urgent as she described Tess, petite, 5'2", 115 pounds, last seen in black sweater and boots. Toronto Police Service's 41 Division, where Tess had lived briefly in the East End, took the missing persons report, their response measured in a city where runaways and party oversights were common. But Rachel knew better. Her soulmate wouldn't ghost without a word, her hard-working sister always checking in. The family in North Bay mobilized, Tessa's mother, Christine Hermiston, pacing her kitchen, her hands clasped in prayer, the five daughters' bond a lifeline in crisis. Tessa's Fitbit, sent to Christine's account via her credit card, pinged faint data, 300 steps after 3 a.m., a burst of movement suggesting a walk, then stillness. An Uber notification flickered at 4 a.m., a ride requested from Church and Wellesley, canceled moments later, the who and why a mystery in the digital void. By Monday, November 27th, Christine couldn't wait, driving 4 hours south with other family, the highway blurring through tears as they hit Toronto's sprawl. Rachel joined the search, the sisters' faces on posters plastered across Church and Wellesley, the gay village's vibrant heart, now a grid of worry. They handed flyers to baristas and bouncers, asked strangers if they'd seen the smiling brunette with the easy laugh, organized walks through alleys and parks, the rain soaking their result. Volunteers swelled, friends from Seneca College, and the coffee bar joining, the air thick with questions and quiet fears. TPS canvassed too, but leads were thin, bar patrons recalling a tipsy girl, but no red flags, the hot dog vendor shrugging at the group's late-night chat. On November 28, police went public. Detective Graham Gibson's press conference somber, few leads, but concerns for Tessa's safety. Her description broadcast on news feeds and social media. The family clung to hope, Christine's voice steady in interviews. Tess is a fighter. She's out there. But nights brought dread, Rachel staring at her phone, willing a ping that never came. Wednesday, November 29th, dawned colder, the search party's footsteps echoing on wet pavement as Christine and family friend Anne Brazeau, a nurse with a mother's intuition, tacked posters near 582 Church Street, 2 doors from the hot dog cart. The house loomed vacant, its windows boarded for renovations, a chain-link fence sagging around the gravel driveway. Something tugged at Anne, the alley's shadows, the stairwell's mouth yawning dark and narrow, leading to a basement door. "Let's check it," she said, her voice low, Christine nodding despite the knot in her gut. They slipped through the fence, the gravel crunching under boots, the air turning musty as they peered down the concrete steps, the darkness thick like tar. Anne flicked on her phone light, the beam cutting the gloom, and froze. A flash of pink polka dots amid the dust, a purse half buried in debris. Christine's breath caught, her hand flying to her mouth as Anne descended, her voice a whisper. "Oh God, it's her." At the bottom, tangled in construction scraps and gravel, lay Tess, her body crumpled like a discarded doll, her black sweater twisted, tights torn, boots askew, her face blue and swollen, a gash on her forehead caked with dried blood. Christine screamed, the sound raw and primal, collapsing against the wall as Anne called 911, her hands shaking, the stairwell, a grave that swallowed their world. Toronto Police's 51 Division swarmed the scene by 4 p.m. Officers in tactical gear, sealing the alley with tape, their radios crackling amid the growing crowd of neighbors peering from windows. Detectives descended the stairs, their flashlights sweeping the narrow space. 12 feet long, 4 feet wide, a concrete tomb littered with renovation junk, broken drywall, wire coils, a discarded scarf tangled near Tess's neck. Her pink purse lay inches from her hand, phone case peeking out, no signs of robbery, her wallet intact. The body showed no obvious trauma at first glance. No gunshot, no obvious beating, but bruises bloomed on her arms and wrists, her neck marked with ligature impressions, dust from the gravel caking her clothes and hair. Paramedics confirmed death, the time estimated between 4 and 6 a.m., rigor setting in. Christine, held back by officers, wailed her daughter's name, Anne wrapping her in a hug as family arrived, the village's pulse slowing to a stunned hut. Initial reports treated it as suspicious, but not homicide. An accident, perhaps a fall during a hookup gone wrong, the vacant house a lure for the young and drunk. But whispers spread, Rachel's face pale as she arrived. The sisters' bond now a void. The post-mortem on December 1 shattered the accident theory. Dr. Michael Polanen's scalpel, revealing the truth in the morgue's sterile light. Neck compression, asphyxiation from strangulation, petechial hemorrhaging in her eyes, bruises consistent with hands, or a ligature like the scarf nearby. Defensive wounds on her hands and forearms spoke of a fight. Her petite frame, 5'2", 115 pounds, overpowered by force. Toxicology showed alcohol in her system, 0.15 back, but no drugs. Her last meal, a hot dog from the cart. The homicide squad took over, detectives like Graham Gibson pouring over the stairwell, bagging the scarf. Black, wool, fibers matching Tess's sweater, prints lifted from the purse strap. A single, unidentified thumbprint on the basement door. Canvassing intensified, knocking on doors along Church Street. The gay village's morning quiet, broken by questions. Had anyone heard screams? Seen a couple enter the alley? Video from a nearby ATM caught grainy footage at 4:14 a.m. Tess and a tall man in a hoodie, hand in hand, vanishing down the driveway. The man emerging alone at 4:59 a.m. His pace hurried, hoodie low. The image, blurry but haunting, showed a white male in his early 20s, average build, jeans and sneakers, blending into the night. By December 3rd, Gibson's team zeroed in on the man from the footage, witnesses from the hot dog cart recalling a guy comforting Tess, his voice low, his demeanor forgettable. Michelle Teep, the Dundonald smoker, came forward on December 8th, her memory jogged by the released sketch. Around 3:30 a.m., Tess, Riley, and the guy. He blended in. Nothing special. Stopped by her porch. Tess upset about the breakup. The man offering his shoulder, his arm around her waist. They chatted 20 minutes. Numbers exchanged. Riley, leaving at 3:45. Tess and the guy heading west, then north. The press conference that day was tense. Gibson outlining the timeline. The footage played on loop. The suspect's image broadcast. This man was the last to see Tess alive. Tips trickled. Barflies remembering a quiet guy nursing a beer. A contractor spotting a familiar face at a job site. But the break came in late January 2018. CBC, interviewing Teep again. Her details sharpening the profile. Early 20s, casual clothes, unremarkable features. The family, undeterred, circulated the images themselves. Christine's face weary but fierce in interviews. Someone knows him. Bring him in. The net tightened through February. Detectives cross-referencing footage with social media. A tip from a West End roofer leading to Kalen Schlatter, 21, a contract worker specializing in exterior repairs, gutters, siding, the kind of job that took him citywide. His Facebook showed him in hoodies and jeans, his build matching the footage, a mutual friend linking him to crews and tangos that night. On February 4th, around 11 p.m., TPS detectives knocked on his Earl's Court door, his parents' home, a tidy bungalow in the West End. Schlatter, lanky with tousled brown hair and a forgettable face, answered in sweats, his eyes widening as they showed the image. Cuffed without resistance, he rode downtown in silence, his clean record. No priors, a high school dropout turned laborer, offering no shield. By February 5, charges dropped. Second-degree murder in Tess's death. Gibson confirming Schlatter as the man from the video, the last with her alive. No prior connection. Police said a crime of opportunity born in the bar's haze. Schlatter's interrogation stretched hours, his voice steady at first, claiming he walked Tess home. A kiss goodnight, then left her safe at the stairwell door. But cracks showed. His hoodie matched fibers on the scarf, his sneakers treads in the gravel. Bail denied. He sat in Dawn jail, his parents hiring a lawyer, the city exhaling as the monster had a face. But March 21 brought a twist. Schlatter's parents visited with food and water, items seized by police, traces of Tess's DNA on the bottle, confirming contact. Charges upgraded to first-degree murder, premeditation inferred from the strangulation's force, the stairwell's isolation. The preliminary hearing painted the horror. Tess dragged down the steps, her pleas muffled, Schlatter's hands over the scarf compressing her neck until she went limp, her body dumped amid debris. The door kicked shut. The trial opened June 18, 2018, in Old City Hall Court, room 111, packed with reporters, Rachel in the front row, her eyes locked on Schlatter, who sat expressionless in a gray suit. Justice Robert Spies presided, prosecutor Anna Tenhouse laying the timeline with surgical precision. The bar footage, the walk hand in hand, the 45-minute void in the stairwell, Schlatter emerging alone. Michelle Teep testified, her voice clear. Tess sad but kind, the guy comforting, his arm possessive. Riley Simard, hungover in memory, recalled the hot dog cart laughs. Schlatter's easy vibe masking nothing amiss. The Uber driver waited in vain at 4:14, his dash cam catching Schlatter and Tess vanishing into the alley. Gibson detailed the scene. Tess face down, neck bruised purple, petechiae in her eyes from asphyxiation, her arms scratched from fighting, the scarf, black wool, her own from the bar, knotted tight, fibers in her hair, knotted tight, fibers in her hair. DNA under her nails matched Schlatter. Semen on her sweater, his, the struggle explicit in broken nails and skin cells. Schlatter's defense, led by Andrew Menkes, argued accident, a consensual hookup turning rough, Tess panicking, Schlatter restraining her in fear, the scarf a tragic slip. But the jury saw intent, the chosen isolation, the compression's duration, 5 to 7 minutes of sustained pressure, Tess's lungs burning, her body convulsing before stillness. A cellmate, E.S., dropped the bomb. Schlatter's jailhouse confessions, whispered in the Dawn's bunks, met at the bar, walked to the stairwell, made out heavy, Tess stopping when he pushed further. He tied the scarf around her neck. She was on the ground, and it excited him. He was past the point of no control. He ejaculated on her. E.S. recalled Schlatter's alibis tested, suicidal Tess, a cover-up family, or a third man finishing the job, all rehearsed lot. The graphic detail hung heavy, jurors shifting as E.S. described Schlatter's arousal, the scarf tightening as Tess gasped, her final kicks weakening, death coming quiet in the dark. The defense cross-examined fiercely, painting E.S. up as a jailhouse snitch chasing favors, his testimony bought with leniency on his own charges. But forensics held firm. Schlatter's DNA in her mouth, under nails, on clothes, the scarf's fibers in his hoodie. No forced entry, but the stairwell's seclusion screamed premeditation. Schlatter scouting it earlier that night. Closing arguments thundered, Tenhouse's voice rising. Tess trusted him, walked hand in hand to what she thought was safety. He led her to a grave. Menkes countered consent gone wrong. Schlatter a scared kid. But the jury, after 3 days, saw the monster and the mundane. Guilty of first-degree murder on June 29, 2018. Spies sentencing him to life with parole after 25 years on July 13. His face blank as Rachel wept, Christine clutching a photo of Tess's smile. Toronto exhaled. The village's streets safer, but scarred. Church and Wellesley quieter at night. Posters of Tess fading, but her story etched in memory. Rachel founded a foundation for missing women. Christine returning to North Bay with Tess's ashes scattered in the lake. Her voice in interviews a call for vigilance. Schlatter appealed in 2020, denied in 2022. His life a cell's routine. The stairwell's echo, his only comfort. The case chronicled in CBC's Her Final Hours Gripped Canada, Tess's fight a beacon, her trust betrayed, but her name alive in justice's light. The alley at 582 Church, now renovated, stands as a quiet monument, the basement door sealed, but Tess's spirit whispers in the wind. A young woman's night out turned nightmare, her end a warning in the city's glow. As this story fades, another one waits in the shadows. The summer heat clung to the streets of Burlington, Vermont, like a second skin, the air thick with the scent of freshly cut grass and the faint tang of Lake Champlain drifting in from the west. It was July 19, 1971, a Monday evening that felt ordinary to most, the sun dipping low behind the Green Mountains, casting long shadows over the quiet neighborhood on Brooks Avenue. Rita Curran, 24 years old, with a warm smile that crinkled her blue eyes and auburn hair that caught the light like autumn leaves, unlocked the door to her second-floor apartment at 17 Brooks Avenue, her arms laden with a grocery bag and a stack of library books. She was a second-grade teacher at Milton Elementary School, her days filled with the chatter of young voices and finger paints, her summers a welcome break spent working as a maid at the Colonial Motor Inn downtown, where she dusted rooms and chatted with guests about their travels. Rita had just moved out of her parents' home in Milton that spring, her first taste of independence, sharing the 3-bedroom apartment with 3 roommates she barely knew. 2 women her age, one a student, the other a secretary, and a young man who kept to himself. The place was modest, with creaky wooden floors and windows that overlooked a tidy backyard, a far cry from the family farm where she'd grown up as the eldest of 7 siblings. Her laughter, a constant amid the chaos of chores and card game. Rita kicked off her sensible flats at the door, her bare feet padding across the linoleum as she unpacked her bag. Apples, a loaf of bread, a bottle of milk for the fridge, her mind already drifting to the graduate courses she planned to take at the University of Vermont that fall. Dreams of advancing her teaching career bubbling up like the soda she poured into a glass. She was the kind of woman who turned heads without trying, her 5'4" frame athletic from weekend hikes and softball games, her kindness drawing people in like a hearth fire. That night, her roommates were out. Nancy, the student, at a concert in Montreal, Anne, the secretary, visiting family in Var, and the quiet guy off on some errand. Rita savored the solitude, slipping into a light housecoat over her nightgown, the fabric soft against her skin as she settled on the living room couch with a book of poetry, the radio tuned low to folk tunes drifting from the speaker. The apartment building, a 3-story Victorian divided into flats, hung faintly with light from below. Mrs. Lanford, the landlady on the first floor, watching her TV, a couple on the 3rd arguing softly through thin wall. Rita felt safe here. The door locked out of habit, her window cracked for the breeze, the world outside a gentle hum of crickets and distant car horns. Around 11:30 p.m., as the moon rose high over the Adirondacks across the lake, Rita heard a soft knock at the door, the sound polite but insistent. She set her book aside, her bare feet padding to the peephole, expecting perhaps a neighbor borrowing sugar or one of her roommates forgetting their key. But the hallway light flickered dimly, casting shadows, and through the glass she saw a man, tall, unremarkable, his face half turned as if listening for voices. He was William DeRose, 31 years old, living 2 floors up with his wife in a cramped unit filled with the tension of a marriage fraying at the edges. Darrow's, a drifter with a thin mustache and eyes that darted like cornered animals, had argued viciously with his wife that evening, her accusations of his wandering hands at the local bar spilling into shouts that echoed down the stairs. Fueled by cheap whiskey and resentment, he wandered the building, his mind a storm of rage and impulse, the knock a desperate grasp for distraction, for anything to drown the fight's echo. Rita, ever the polite soul, unchained the door a crack, her voice warm through the gap. "Can I help you?" Darrow's turned, his smile forced, mumbling something about a lost key or a neighbor's smoke, his foot wedging the door as she hesitated, politeness warring with instinct. The intrusion was swift, DeRose shoving the door wide with his shoulder, his body filling the frame as Rita stumbled back, her housecoat fluttering open, her cry cut short by his hand clamping over her mouth. The apartment, once a haven, became a trap, the door slamming shut behind him, the chain rattling like a death knell. Rita fought with the ferocity of survival, her nails raking his arm, drawing blood as she twisted free, her voice rising in a scream that pierced the quiet hall. "Help!" Lampher, but the landlady's TV droned on below, the walls too thick to carry the plate. Darrow's lunged, his weight pinning her against the couch, his free hand fumbling at her nightgown, tearing the fabric with a rip that echoed like thunder in the small space. Rita kicked, her heel connecting with his shin, pain flashing in his eyes, but he was stronger, his knee pressing into her stomach, knocking the wind from her lungs. The struggle spilled into the bedroom, furniture scraping across the floor, a lamp crashing to the rug as she clawed at his face, her fingers gouging his cheek, blood smearing her palm. "What?" He slapped her hard, the crack resounding, her head snapping back, stars bursting behind her eyes, but she didn't stop, her elbow jabbing his ribs, her teeth sinking into his hand until he yanked it free with a curse. Darrow's rage boiled over, the whiskey fueling a frenzy as he straddled her on the bedroom floor, his hands wrapping around her throat, thumbs pressing into the soft hollow beneath her jaw. Rita gasped, her eyes bulging, her hands prying at his wrists, nails digging crescents into his skin as her legs thrashed, knocking over a nightstand, the clock radio clattering to the carpet. Radio clattering to the carpet. The pressure built, her windpipe crushing under his grip, her face turning red then purple, veins throbbing in her temples as she fought for air, her vision tunneling to black spots. She bucked wildly, her knee grazing his groin, eliciting a grunt of pain that loosened his hold for a heartbeat. She sucked in a ragged breath, her voice a rasp. "Please, stop, God, no." But he tightened again. His face contorted in a mask of fury and lust, his body grinding against hers as she weakened, her struggles slowing to twitches, her eyes locking on his in a final plea of terror and defiance. The life ebbed from her in waves, her chest heaving once, twice, then stilling, her body going limp beneath him, the room falling silent save for his ragged breaths and the distant tick of the fallen clock. Darrow's lingered in the aftermath, his mind a whirl of panic and satisfaction, the whiskey haze lifting to reveal the horror of what he'd done. Rita lay sprawled on the carpet, her housecoat torn open, bruises blooming on her neck like dark fingerprints, her eyes staring sightless at the ceiling, a trickle of blood from her lip staining the fibers. He fumbled for a cigarette from his pocket, his hands shaking as he lit it, the flame flickering in the dim light, inhaling deeply to steady himself, the smoke curling toward the window like a guilty secret. He stubbed it out, half-smoked, on the bedroom floor, the butt rolling under the bed, a careless trace he'd never retrieve. Panic surged as he straightened her nightgown roughly, pulling the covers over her body in a mockery of care, his eyes darting to the door, the hallway silent beyond. He slipped out as quietly as he'd come, the stairs creaking under his weight, his apartment 2 floors up, a sanctuary where his wife slept, oblivious or complicit in his earlier rage. Darrows washed his hands in the sink, the water running pink, his reflection in the mirror a stranger's, sweat slick, eyes wild, before collapsing into bed, the night sin weighing like lead. Dawn broke over Burlington on July 20th, the sun climbing slow and indifferent, the neighborhood stirring with the clatter of milk bottles and the bark of distant dogs. Ann Forcier, Rita's roommate and closest friend in the apartment, unlocked the front door around 7:30 a.m., her arms full of groceries from an early market run, her mind on the day ahead, classes at UVM, a shift at the library. The place felt off, the air stale and heavy, Rita's bedroom door ajar, as Ann called out, "Rita? You up?" Silence answered, the kind that prickles the skin, and Ann pushed the door open, the groceries tumbling from her arms in a cascade of cans and bags. Rita lay on the bed, covers pulled neat, but her face wrong, swollen, purple, eyes open and glassy, the house coat askew beneath the quilt. Ann's scream tore through the house, raw and piercing, her hands flying to her mouth as she backed away, the room spinning in horror. She fumbled for the phone on the nightstand, her fingers slick with sweat, dialing the operator with a voice that cracked. "Send police. Oh God, Rita's dead. Something's wrong. Hurry." The line buzzed with urgency, a line buzzed with calming her as sirens wailed closer. Neighbors peering from windows, the quiet street erupting into chaos. Burlington police cruisers screeched to a halt outside 17 Brooks Avenue, officers spilling out with boots pounding the pavement, their radios crackling in the morning light. Sergeant Paul Delude led the charge, his face hardening as he entered the apartment, the scent of death already faint but unmistakable, something coppery and wrong mingling with Rita's perfume. Ann sat on the living room floor, rocking, her words tumbling out in sobs. Rita hadn't answered her knock, the door ajar, the body just there, like a nightmare made real. Delude knelt by the bed, his gloved hand checking for a pulse that wasn't there, his stomach turning at the bruises on her neck, the ligature marks deep and angry, her nightgown torn at the shoulder, signs of a struggle etched in overturned furniture, and a lamp shade askew on the floor. "Secure the scene," he barked to his partner, the apartment transforming into a hive of activity, uniforms taping off rooms, detectives arriving with cameras and kits, flashbulbs popping like gunfire as they documented the savagery. Rita's roommates trickled in, their faces ashen. Nancy from Montreal, Anne from Valle, their alibis solid, their shock genuine as they recounted the night before. Rita alive and laughing, planning a beach day. The medical examiner, Dr. Louis Parker, arrived by 9 a.m., his team wheeling Rita's body from the apartment on a gurney covered in a sheet, the neighbors gathering on the lawn, whispers rippling like wind through the trees. At the morgue in the Fletcher Allen Hospital basement, Parker's scalpel traced the truth in cold light. Manual strangulation, the hyoid bone fractured, petechiae bursting in her eyes from the pressure, defensive wounds on her hands and arms, nail marks, bruises from grabbing at an attacker, semen traces on her thigh and housecoat spoke of sexual assault, the violence intimate and brutal. Her death between 11:45 p.m. and 1 a.m., a window of 70 minutes when the apartment stood empty. Toxicology showed no drugs, just a trace of alcohol from a nightcap. Her last meal, a light supper of bread and cheese. Parker noted the precision of the attack. No weapon, just hands and rage. The killer someone she might have let in. The door unchained, suggesting trust or surprise. Back at the scene, detectives dusted for prints, lifting smudges on the doorknob and windowsill. A half-smoked cigarette butt under the bed, yielding saliva for later DNA, though tech in 1971 meant little beyond basic typing. Burlington, a city of 38,000 nestled between the lake and mountains, woke to the horror splashed across the Free Press front page. Young teachers slain in apartment, Rita's school photo smiling out, her eyes full of life, now frozen in death. The community reeled, doors locked for the first time in memory, women walking in pairs, the University of Vermont campus a buzz of fear as classes resumed. Rita's parents, Tom and Mary Curran, drove from Milton that afternoon, the 4-hour trip a blur of grief. Tom's hands white on the wheel, Mary's rosary clicking in her lap. They arrived at the station, faces crumpling as detectives showed photos, Tom's voice breaking. Who could do this to our Rita? She was their golden girl, the eldest of 7, a singer in the church choir with a voice like an angel. Wait. Her summers at the motel a way to save for grad school. Her kindness drawing friends like moth. Tom, a dairy farmer with calloused hands, vowed vengeance. Mary's quiet faith, an anchor as they planned the funeral. The Milton church packed with mourners. Rita's casket, white lilies framing her peaceful face. The investigation kicked into gear. Chittenden County State's Attorney Patrick Leahy, a young prosecutor with a reputation for tenacity, taking the lead, his team canvassing the building and neighborhood. Mrs. Lampher, the landlady, heard nothing. Her TV too loud. Upstairs neighbors, the DeRuses, claimed sleep. William's wife, Mary, providing an alibi for her husband, her eyes downcast as she spoke. Prints matched no one, the cigarette butt typed as type A, common as dirt, the semen sample degraded but preserved in a freezer for future tech. Suspects emerged, a jilted suitor from Rita's past, a motel guest with a grudge, but alibis held, the 70-minute window ago. Leahy pushed for polygraphs, the feds offering help, but leads dried up by fall, the case going cold as leaves blanketed Brooks Avenue. Rita's siblings, Mary, Tom Jr., and the younger ones gathered at the farm, her room untouched, her books on the shelf, her laughter a memory in the wind. Burlington moved on, but the stain lingered. Doors bolted, trust fractured. Rita's unsolved death, a whisper in the lake's lap. Decades crawled by, the 1970s fading into disco and doubt, the 1980s bringing Reagan and rumors. Ted Bundy, born in Burlington in 1946, questioned in 1989 before his execution, denying the crime. But his presence in Vermont, that summer a shadow. Leahy grilled him, Bundy's charm cracking under pressure, but no confession came, the case file thickening with false leads. A drifter, a professor, a priest, all cleared. Rita's family aged, Tom passing in 1995 from a heart attack. His last words a plea for justice. Mary clinging to faith until 2005. Her rosary worn smooth. Siblings like Mary Campbell wrote letters to governors, funded tips lines, the Free Press running anniversary pieces, 50 years unsolved in 2021, a gut punch. Burlington changed, Brooks Avenue gentrified, the apartment building raised for condos, but the basement morgue held Rita's evidence, the cigarette butt frozen in time, waiting for science to catch up. In 2019, Lieutenant Jim Trebe, a detective with a bulldog jaw and a file cabinet of cold cases, pulled Rita's box from the shelf, dust motes dancing in the fluorescent light as he spread photos and reports across his desk. The 70-minute window haunted him, the assault's intimacy suggesting someone close, a neighbor, a friend. He assembled a team, treating it fresh. Forensics retested the butt with modern PCR, amplifying DNA to a profile. Male, Caucasian, partial markers hinting at Eastern European roots. Genetic genealogy entered the chat. Partnering with DNA Labs International, the profile uploaded to GEDmatch, trees blooming with matches. Weeks turned to months, investigators tracing branches, narrowing to a cluster in California. William DeRose, born 1940 in San Francisco, a drifter with a rap sheet for theft and assault, married in Burlington July 21st, 1971. 2 days after Rita's murder, his address, 17 Brooks Avenue, 2 floors up. DeRose's life unraveled in records, a marriage to Mary in 71, a move to Thailand. Soon after, becoming a Buddhist monk in the 80s, renouncing violence and saffron robes, dying in 1986 of a drug overdose in a San Francisco flophouse. His body unclaimed. Believe Monica Tue, that our pass. I killed. The DNA sealed it. The butt's saliva matched DeRuse's profile from a 1970s arrest. The housecoat semen traces his, the hair in Rita's hand, a follicle from his head. One, Mary's alibi cracked under scrutiny. She'd lied for him, coerced by his rage that night. Their fight spilling from shouts to slaps. DeRuse storming out, wandering the building in whiskey-fueled fury, knocking on Rita's door for a smoke or solace, his impulse turning to assault when she resisted. The 70 minutes, entry at 11:45, struggle in the living room, dragged to the bedroom, hands around her throat as she fought, his arousal twisting the violence, her final gasps fading by 12:55, DeRose fleeing upstairs. Mary, covering his scratches with lies. Burlington police announced the solve on February 21st, 2023. Chief John Murad's press conference somber. Rita's photo, smiling beside the cigarette butt, now a relic of closure. Mary Campbell wept, hugging state's attorney Sarah George, her voice breaking. Mom and Dad can rest now. Leahy, 81 and retired, attended, his eyes misty. I've seen war zones, but Rita stayed with me. The city exhaled. The city exhaled. Brooks Avenue's condos, a monument to progress. The case Vermont's oldest, cold thawed by science's thought. DeRose's grave in San Francisco, unmarked, held no peace. His monk's robes a lie over bloodied hands. Rita's family scattered her ashes in Lake Champlain, her voice in the wind, a song unfinished, but heard at last. As this story fades, another one waits in the shadows. The late afternoon sun hung low over the rugged peaks of the Chugach Mountains, casting a golden haze across the winding trails of Thunderbird Falls in Chugach, Alaska, where the air carried the crisp bite of early summer and the distant rush of the Eklutna River below. It was June 2nd, 2019, and Cynthia Cece Hoffman, a 19-year-old with a gentle smile and eyes full of quiet trust, climbed out of a borrowed SUV, her sneakers crunching on the gravel parking lot as she adjusted her backpack, stuffed with water bottles and snacks for what she thought was just another hike with friends. Cece, born on a snowy day in Anchorage to parents Timothy and Kent Hoffman, had always been the family's light, her developmental challenges from a learning disability making her heart younger than her years. Her laughter, a simple joy that melted worries away. She functioned more like a middle schooler. Her dad often said, struggling with bookwork, but thriving in the hands-on world of construction sites, where she became his right-hand man, learning to measure lumber and hammer nails with a focus that turned heads. Graduating high school in 2018 had been a triumph, her cap tossed high amid cheers, but Cece craved connection most of all, friends to share inside jokes, late-night texts, the kind of bonds that made her feel seen. That's why she clung to Denali Bramer, an 18-year-old she'd met at Service High School, calling her best friend, trusting her with secrets and sleepovers, unaware that the girl she saw as a sister had become her execution. Cece's life was one of small victories and big heart. Her day spent helping Tim, senior on job sites, her evenings scrolling social media for puppy videos or chatting with Denali about boys and dreams. Tim, a burly contractor with calloused hands and a protective streak, watched his daughter bloom despite the odds. Her disability no barrier to her kindness. She'd hug strangers at church or share her lunch with kids who forgot theirs. Kent, her stepmom, baked her favorite chocolate chip cookies, the kitchen filled with the scent of vanilla as Cece danced to pop songs on the radio, her steps clumsy but full of joy. The Hoffmans lived in a tidy split-level home in South Anchorage, the backyard a playground for barbecues and family games. Cece's room, an explosion of stuffed animals and posters of her favorite bands. But loneliness nipped at her edges, her age making friendships tricky, Denali's texts a lifeline in the quiet night. That morning, Denali had called, her voice bubbly over the line. Hey Cece, let's go hiking at Thunderbird Falls, me, Caden, Caleb, and a couple others. It'll be fun like old times. Cece's face lit up, her trust absolute, packing her bag with enthusiasm, kissing Tim goodbye as he headed to a site, promising to text when she got home. Denali Bramer, slender, with long dark hair and a face that hid her storms behind easy smiles, waited in Caleb Leyland's black SUV, her heart pounding not from excitement but from the weight of a secret plot that had consumed her for weeks. At 18, Denali lived a double life. Outwardly, a high school grad scraping by on odd jobs, inwardly tangled in an online romance with a man she knew as Tyler, a supposed Kansas millionaire with chiseled features and promises of wealth. Tyler was her escape from Anchorage's grind. His Snapchat messages, a flood of flattery and fantasies, his photos of luxury cars and mansions making her dreams of escape feel real. But Tyler was a lie, a catfish crafted by Darren Schillmiller, a 21-year-old from New Salisbury, Indiana. holed up in his grandparents' basement, his days a blur of video games and dark urges. Darren, overweight, with a mop of brown hair and eyes that darted like trapped animals, had spiraled into isolation after high school, his jobless existence fueled by porn and fantasies of control. On Snapchat in early 2019, he posed as Tyler, a wealthy playboy, reeling Denali in with tales of private jets and $9 offers for the unthinkable: rape and murder someone in Alaska. Send me proof. Videos, photos, and it's yours. Denali bit, her boredom and thrill-seeking turning to obsession, the promise of riches a siren song in her dead-end life. She confided in no one at first, her messages to Tyler growing explicit, sharing fantasies of violence, his encouragement a drug that hooked her deep. By May, the plan crystallized: kill for the cash, split it with friends, start fresh. Denali recruited her circle, starting with Caden McIntosh, 16, a quiet kid with a troubled home and a crush on her, his loyalty easy to bend. It'll be quick, like a game, she told him over late-night drives, his nod hesitant but eager for her approval. Caleb Leyland, 19, a lanky guy with a beat-up SUV and a soft spot for Denali, lent his car without questions, his role logistics in the scheme. Two other teens, unnamed juveniles in court docks, joined for the thrill and promised cut. Jason, 15, the driver, and Natasha, 16, the lookout, their youth a shield against doubt, Denali's charisma the glue. They scouted spots, parks, trails, settling on Thunderbird Falls, a popular hike 25 miles northeast of Anchorage. It's rushing at Klutna River, a perfect dump site, the woods thick enough to hide screams. Cece was the target, her vulnerability a cruel irony. Denali knew her from school, their friendship a one-sided bond, where Cece poured out trust, Denali taking without gift. She's easy, Denali texted Tyler, her words cold in the glow of her phone, his reply a heart emoji, and perfect, make it real. The group plotted in whispers, duct tape from Caleb's garage, a 380 handgun from Caden's stepdad's safe, stolen in a borrow. Denali coached them. Act normal. Say, it's a hike. Get pics and vids for Tyler. Excitement mixed with nerves. Jason cracking jokes to ease the tension. Natasha filming practice runs on Snapchat. The deletes hiding their trail. Darren, in Indiana, paced his basement. His real life a mess of unpaid bills and parental lectures. His fake Tyler persona a god complex, demanding details. Make it hurt. Show me everything. Denali obliged. Her loyalty to the phantom millionaire, blinding her to the madness, the $9, a mirage that pulled her deeper. June 2 dawned clear. The Chugach peaks sharp against the blue sky as Denali picked up the group in Caleb's SUV, her playlist blasting rap to mask the silence. Caden sat shotgun, the gun tucked in his waistband, his hands fidgeting with a pack of smokes. Jason and Natasha in back, their laughter forced, the air thick with unspoken fear. They swung by Cece's, Denali honking, her wave drawing the girl out with a bounce, her backpack slung over one shoulder, her blonde hair tied in a ponytail, her excitement bubbling as she climbed in. This is gonna be awesome, Cece said, hugging Denali, her trust a knife in the gut. No one voiced. The drive northeast took 30 minutes. The highway winding past strip malls and forests. The conversation light, school gossip, boys, Cece's latest TikTok dance. Denali filmed discreet snaps for Tyler, her thumb quick on the screen, his replies hearts, and can't wait for the show. The parking lot at Thunderbird Falls was half empty, hikers in bright gear snapping selfies. The trail sign promising easy access to the falls, but the group veered off the path, Denali leading to a side track toward the river, the woods thickening, the roar of water growing louder. The Eklutna River rushed below, its turquoise waters churning over rocks, the bank steep and slippery with moss, alligators of the south replaced by salmon leaping in the current. Denali stopped at a clearing, the trees a natural curtain, her voice casual. Let's chill here, get some pics. Cece dropped her backpack, pulling out snacks, her laughter ringing as she posed for selfies. Oblivious to the glances exchanged. Caden's hand on the gun, Jason's fidgeting, Natasha's phone ready. Denali texted Tyler, here, starting, her heart racing with a mix of fear and thrill. His reply, do it now, make it good. The shift came fast. Caden grabbed Cece from behind, his arm around her neck. Her gasp, sharp as Jason and Natasha pinned her arms, duct tape ripping from the roll in Denali's hand. What are you doing? Stop, Denali, please. Cece's voice cracked, her eyes wide with betrayal, tears spilling as the tape bound her wrists, her ankles, her mouth muffling screams into whimpers. Denali knelt, her face inches from Cece's, whispering, it's for the money. You'll be okay? The lie bitter on her tongue as she filmed, the Snapchat sending bursts of light in the dim wood. Cece thrashed, her body small but fierce, her muffled cries, why me? I thought we were friends, piercing the group. Jason averting his eyes, Natasha's hands shaking on the phone. Denali nodded to Caden, his face pale but set, the gun trembling in his grip as he pressed it to the back of her head, the barrel cold against her scalp. I'm sorry, he muttered, the shot cracking like thunder, birds exploding from the trees, Cece's body jerking once, blood blooming from the entry wound, her eyes glazing in instant death. The group froze, the river's roar, the only sound. Denali snapped sending the video to Tyler, his reply beautiful. More. Jason and Natasha retched, their faces green, but Denali steeled, directing them to roll the body down the bank. Cece's form tumbling into the current, her backpack sinking beside her, the water claiming her with a final splash. They burned the tape roll in a hasty fire, the gun tossed into the brush, Caleb's SUV speeding back to Anchorage, the radio blasting to drown silence. The drive home was a blur of shock and denial. Denali texting Tyler done. Send the money. His reply a string of hearts, and soon love. The group scattered, Jason and Natasha swearing secrecy. Caden crashing at Denali's, swearing secrecy. Caden crashing at Denali's, his nightmares starting that night. Cece's family noticed her absence by evening, Tim calling Denali first, her voice steady. We went hiking, she wanted to stay longer. I'll drop her at the park. Tim, trusting the best friend, waited, his worry building as night fell. Calls to police at midnight. The missing persons report, filed in Anchorage, PD's 3rd. Searches began at dawn, June 3rd. Volunteers combing Thunderbird Falls. Tim's voice hoarse on flyers. Have you seen Cece? 5'3", 130 pounds, blonde hair. Denali played concerned, joining searches, her texts to Tyler frantic. They're looking? What now? His calm replies, lie low, you're rich soon. By June 5th, Hikers spotted the body in the Eklutna. Hikers spotted the body in the Eklutna, bloated and tangled in roots. Divers pulling her from the current. The gunshot wound clear in the autopsy. Back of the head, 380 caliber. Entry clean, exit shattering bone. Tim collapsed at the morgue, his right-hand man gone. Her learning disability making the betrayal sting deeper. She'd trusted too easily. Her heart open to friends like Denal. Police swarmed, the river yielding duct tape fragments, a backpack with Cece's wallet, her phone waterlogged but data recoverable. Last text to Denali, can't wait for the hike. Detectives interviewed the group. Denali's story cracking under pressure, her phone seized, yielding snaps to Tyler, videos of the binding, the shot, the body splash, his replies perfect, my queen. The catfish unraveled fast. IP, traces leading to Darren Shillmiller in Indiana. His basement a trove of chats, fake photos, demands for more proof. Arrests came swift. Denali on June 7th, her face blank in cuffs. Caden and Caleb next. Caden and Caleb. The juveniles questioned in juvie. Darren, 21 and jobless, holed up in New Salisbury. His grandparents' home a prison of his making. Arrested June 14th. His laptop a gallery of horrors, chats soliciting rape, murder, child porn from Denali. His thrill in control, absolute. The plot emerged in indictments. Darren, lonely and obsessed. Catfished Denali as Tyler, millionaire playboy, reeling her with romance, then escalating to violence for his fetish, promising $9 million for rape and murder vids. Denali, thrill-hungry and naive, recruited her crew. Cece, the easy mark, vulnerable, trusting, her disability a blind spot to danger. The group hiked off trail, the river's roar, masking the shot. Cece's final moments terror in duct tape. Her pleas Denali, why? Unanswered as Caden pulled the trigger, his hands shaking. The bullet ending her in a spray of blood and river foam. Tim Hoffman, shattered, attended every hearing, his burly frame hunched in the gallery, his voice breaking in interviews. She just wanted friends, trusted them like family, and they took her for a monster's game. The family, tight-knit in Anchorage's working-class sprawl, rallied. Kent baking casseroles, siblings hugging tight, Cece's room untouched, her stuffed bear on the bed, a silent witness. Anchorage, PD's homicide unit, led by Detective Leonard Torres, pieced the digital trail, snaps deleted but recovered from servers. Darren's IP, a beacon, his basement raid yielding hard drives of chats. Make her scream, film it all. Denali confessed first, her story spilling in interrogation. Tyler's lure, the money's pull, Cece's trust, her undoing. Caden followed, tears streaming as he admitted the shot. Denali said it was a prank, but I knew. Caleb cracked on logistics, the SUV his regret. The juveniles, Jason and Natasha, flipped for leniency, their youth a shield, but guilt a chain. Darren's world crumbled in Indiana, his grandparents stunned, his high school friends whispering of the weird kid who vanished into online shadows. Federal charges piled, child porn, production from Denali's coerced acts post-murder, his demands for more victims a spiral of depravity. Extradited to Alaska, he faced state murder solicitation, his plea in 2023 to first degree, 99 years, handed in January 2024. Judge Andrew Peterson's voice thunder. You orchestrated an assassination for thrills, a vulnerable girl's life for your fetish. Denali's trial loomed. Her not guilty plea in 2019, crumbling to guilty in February 2023. First-degree murder. Conspiracy dropped for the deal. Conspiracy dropped for the deal. Her sentencing, August 2023. A 3-day affair of victim statements and evidence reels. Tim took the stand, his voice raw. Cece was my right hand, trusted Denali like a sister. Her last hike, a betrayal that broke us. Rachel, Cece's aunt, wept over the disability, her niece's heart too open, her mind too trusting. The courtroom in Anchorage's Nesbet courthouse buzzed, the jury of Alaskans, fishermen, teachers, moms, watching videos Denali sent. Cece bound on the bank, duct tape over her mouth, eyes wide with fear. Caden's gun trembling. The shots cracked, the body splashed. Denali's voice done, Tyler. Peterson, Stern and Rhodes, called it tragic and senseless. Bramers rolled cold, calculated, her youth no excuse for the premeditation. Sentenced February 2024 to 99 years. None suspended, parole after 45. Her face blank as Tim stared, his whisper for Cece echoing. Caden, now 20, pleaded guilty second degree, 99 years in 2023. His youth factor shaving time. Caleb, 24, guilty second degree November 2023, 40 years, with 10 suspended June 2024. His car, the getaway, a regret he voiced in tears. Jason and Natasha, juveniles, got probation and counseling, their roles peripheral but scarred. Darren's federal case, layered horror. 30 years August 2024, for child porn production, life supervised release, his basement a factory of fantasies turned fatal. He pleaded guilty July 2023, his voice flat in court. Peterson's gavel final. The Hoffmans healed slow. Tim's construction sites quieter, without Cece's hammer swings. Kent's kitchen missing her dances. Brianne, Cece's cousin, started a foundation for disabled youth safety. Online vigilance workshops in her name. Anchorage's trails saw more hikers in pairs. Thunderbird Falls a cautionary plaque. The river's rush a reminder of trust's cost. Denali's appeal denied 2024. Her cell a mirror of choices. Darren's basement a memory of control law. Cece's grave in Anchorage Memorial Park blooms with wildflowers. Her stone beloved daughter, forever young. Tim visiting weekly, his hand on the granite. You fought good, kid. But Cece's light endures, a warning in Alaska's wilds. As this story fades, another one waits in the shadows. The rain fell in relentless sheets over Nairobi, turning the red dirt roads into rivers of mud that snaked through the city's chaotic sprawl. It was a typical June morning in 2012, the kind where the sky seemed to press down on the earth, mirroring the heavy burdens carried by the people below. George Setoti, Kenya's internal security minister, sat in the back of his black Range Rover, his tall frame folded into the leather seat, his bespectacled eyes scanning a thick dossier on his lap. At 66, Setoti was a towering figure in Kenyan politics, a mathematician turned statesman whose rise from the dusty plains of Kajiado to the heights of power read like a novel of ambition and survival. His dark suit was impeccably pressed, his tie a subtle nod to his Kikuyu roots. But beneath the calm exterior, tension coiled tight. The dossier contained names, powerful ones, linked to Kenya's shadowy drug trade. A a web of narcotics that flowed through Mombasa's ports like poison in the veins of the nation. Satoti had spent months compiling it, his office a fortress of whispers and warnings, the weight of impending revelations pressing on him like the storm outside. Satoti's journey to this moment had been long and fraught, a path paved with intellect and intrigue. Born in 1945 to a Maasai father and Kikuyu mother, he bridged worlds in a country fractured by tribe, his brilliance earning him a scholarship to the University of Nairobi, where he lectured in mathematics. His mind sharp as a blade slicing through equations. Politics called in the 1970s. His entry into Daniel Arap Moi's inner circle swift, rising to vice president by 1989, a role he held for over a decade. His loyalty to Moi unyielding, even as the old man's regime crumbled under corruption scandals. The Goldenberg affair in the 1990s nearly broke him. Accusations of embezzlement in a fictitious gold export scheme that drained billions from the treasury. But Satoti emerged cleared, his reputation scarred but intact. By 2002, he aligned with Mwai Kibaki's new guard, serving as education minister, then finance, his policy steering Kenya through economic storms, his presidential ambitions simmering like the Rift Valley sun. As internal security minister in 2011, he tackled al-Shabaab incursions from Somalia, his voice firm in press briefings, his hand guiding troops into the fray. But the drug war gnawed deeper, a hidden cancer eating at the nation's soul. The dossier wasn't just paper. It was dynamite. Satoti had received it from U.S. Ambassador Michael Ranneberger in late 2010, a confidential memo from the State Department naming high-profile Kenyans in the narcotics trade. Cocaine and heroin funneled through Mombasa, heroin from Afghanistan via East Africa, cocaine from South America, docking at Lamu. The names leaped off the pages. John Harun Mwau, Assistant Trade Minister and Kilame MP, a shadowy figure with ties to import-export firms suspected of hiding shipments in coffee containers. William Kabogo, Jujan Pabogo, a brash real estate mogul whose flashy lifestyle raised eyebrows. Gideon Mbuvi Kioko, known as Sonko Makadara MP, a young firebrand with a reputation for street smarts and unexplained wealth. Hassan Joho Kizani MP, Mombasa's rising star with port connections that smelled of graft. And Ali Punjani, a Mombasa tycoon whose warehouses allegedly laundered millions. Satoti's probe, launched with the Anti-Narcotics Unit, uncovered more. Bribes to port officials, police tipped off for raids, politicians shielding mules. He tabled an interim report in Parliament on December 22, 2010, his voice steady amid gasps. Police are investigating these individuals for involvement in drug trafficking. The chamber erupted, Moi absent, but Kabogo leaping to his feet. Yoho demanding retraction. Sonko thundering about slander, their families and businesses reeling from frozen accounts and whispers. The debate raged for days. A parliamentary circus where egos clashed like thunder. Kabogo, his voice booming, accused Satoti of selective naming, omitting the wife of a senior official, his finger jabbing the air as Speaker Kenneth Morandi pounded his gavel. Yoho, smooth and defiant, rose with measured fury. my name dragged through mud without evidence, expunge it from Hansard until proven. Sonko, the youngest at 31, slammed his desk. This is political assassination. My business is crippled. My family shame. Satori, apologize or face the people. Moa from his Kilame constituency fired back via phone. His statement read by an aide. Baseless smears from foreign meddlers. Baseless smears from foreign meddlers. I'll sue for defamation. Saitoti stood firm, his professorial tone cutting through the chaos. Investigations ongoing, no guilt presumed. But transparency demands we name those probed. Evidence will speak. The House demanded the full U.S. dossier, Miranda ruling. It classified, but ordering police interim reports. The air electric, with threats of no confidence votes and street protest. Outside, Mombasa's ports hummed with suspect cargo, crates stamped innocuous but hiding white powder worth billions. The Baron's networks pulsing despite the spotlight. Satoti's resolve hardened. His office, a bunker of files and informants. Late nights poring over manifests from Kilindini Harbor, whispers from U.S. DEA agents confirming the MPA's roles. Moaz. Pepe Container Freight Station, a hub for heroin bricks, taped under truck beds. Kabogo's real estate fronts, laundering cash into luxury condos. Sonko's flashy cars, bought with cartel kickback. Yoho's port, influence greasing palms for blind eyes. Punjani's warehouses, vast concrete mazes, allegedly stored cocaine in fish crates. His Mombasa empire a fortress of guards and bribes. Satoti met secretly with Kibaki, the president nodding gravely in State House, his voice low. Crush them, George, before they crush us. But the barons fought back, Maw's lawyers flooding courts with injunctions. Kabogo's rallies drawing crowds, chanting Saitoti lies. Yoho's coastal allies threatening port strikes. Sonko's youth wing harassing investigators. An interim police report in February 2011 cleared them. No direct evidence, just associations. The house erupting in cheers as Miranda expunged names. Satati's face stoic, but his jaw tight. The full report promised, but delayed. The full report promised, but delayed. Whispers of sabotage in the ranks. Mayuwan. Satoti pressed on. His presidential bid, announced in November 2011. Tours through Rift Valley and coast drawing thousands. His platform anti-corruption. His drug war the centerpiece. He coordinated with Al-Shabaab hunts in Somalia. Troops under his command pushing into Jubaland. But the narcotics probe consumed him. Informants vanishing, raids tipped off, a bullet grazing his convoy in Katangela. By early 2012, the full report neared completion. 200 pages of manifests, wiretaps, and witness statements. Satoti planning to table it June 12, his speech draft. Kenya's veins poisoned by greed. Today we name the poisoners. The barons panicked, Maul fleeing to Dubai. Kabogo fortifying his Karen mansion, Yoho rallying Mombasa youth. Sonko's tweets a barrage of defiance. Rumors swirled of hits. Satoti's driver poisoned, his aide beaten. An Associated Press expose in May 2012. Kenya's drug barons detailing the network, naming the 4 MPs as linchpins. Their political clout shielding shipments worth billions. The report's sources, Satoti's own leaks, fueling the fire. June 10th, dawned gloomy. The sky over Nairobi, a brooding gray, rain lashing the Parliament grounds as Satodi prepared for the flight. He was scheduled for a fundraiser in Indiha, Homa Bay County, a Lua stronghold key to his presidential run. His deputy Joshua Orwa Ojo joining for the rural outreach. The Eurocopter AS-350B3, tail number 5ECDT, waited at Wilson Airport, a sleek white bird acquired 5 months earlier for $400 million, its rotors idle under the downpour. Satodi boarded at 8:20 a.m., his briefcase heavy with the drug reports draft, his mind on the speech. Orwa Ojo beside him, the two bodyguards, Chief Inspector Duncan Mogil and Sergeant Joshua Oteno, strapping in, pilots Captain Trescott S. Clements and Lieutenant Colonel Wilson. The chopper lifted off at 8:32 a.m., slicing through the storm, Nairobi shrinking below as it banked west toward Ungong Hills, the 10-minute leg to Kibiku Forest, a routine hop in good weather. Satodi glanced at his watch, the rain streaking the windows, his voice calm over the headset. "We'll land by 8:45, plenty of time for the rally." The flight path hugged the Ngong Escarpment, the chopper's blades chopping through low clouds, visibility dropping to half a mile as turbulence buffeted the cabin. Clements radioed air traffic control at 8:37 a.m., his voice steady. "Wilson Tower, Police 5ECT climbing to 4,000 feet. Ngong Vor." The response crackled back affirmative. The tower's screen showing the blip steady, but at 8:42 a.m. the signal vanished, radar empty, as if the machine had dissolved into the myth. In the cockpit, Clements fought the controls, the chopper pitching violently, instruments flickering as a sudden downdraft slammed it earthward. Satodi gripped his seat, his face paling. Orwa Oyo clutching his briefcase, the bodyguards exchanging glances, their hands unholstered. The rotors screamed, the fuselage groaning as the pilot yanked the cyclic. But the hill rose fast, Kibiku's rocky slope, thick with acacia and scrub, rushing up like a green wall. Clements's last words cut through the static. "Mayday, mayday, engine failure." The transmission dying as the skids caught, the Eurocopter cartwheeling in a fireball, metal twisting, fuel igniting in a roar that echoed through the forest. The crash site smoldered in a clearing, the wreckage a mangled heap of rotor blades and fuselage, flames licking the undercarriage as black smoke billowed skyward. A herder, Joseph Onkuru, tending goats half a mile away, heard the explosion, his eyes widening at the plume, his shout drawing villagers who ran through the scrub, their voices rising in alarm. They reached the site by 9:15 a.m., the heat forcing them back, the acrid stench of burning fuel and flesh turning stomachs. Nkuru peered through the smoke, spotting a charred arm in the debris, his cry accident. People inside, alerting a passing Matatu whose driver radioed police. The first responders, a Kenya Wildlife Service ranger and local herders, doused flames with wet sacks, pulling bodies from the twisted metal. Satodi's form slumped in the back, his glasses shattered, his suit charred, his suit charred. Orwa Ojo beside him, the bodyguard's uniforms fused to skin, the pilots carbonized in the cockpit. 6 souls gone in an instant. The hills silent, save for the crackle of dying fire, the rain hissing on hot metal. Word raced to Nairobi like lightning, the Interior Ministry's switchboard lighting up, aides scrambling as President Mwai Kibaki's office mobilized. By 10 a.m., helicopters ferried investigators from the Kenya Airports Authority, and civil aviation, their boots sinking in mud as they cordoned the site, yellow tape fluttering in the wind. The wreckage lay scattered over 50 yards. The tail boom snapped. The main rotor buried in earth. Fuel tanks ruptured in a slick that poisoned the soil. Preliminary scans showed no explosion marks, no sabotage scars, just catastrophic impact. Engine seized, perhaps from the storm or a mechanical fault in the new bird's untested heart. Satoti's briefcase, scorched but intact, yielded the drug report's draft. Pages singed but readable, names underlined in red, the irony bitter as AIDS whispered of fate's cruel hand. Orwa Ojode's notes on constituency funds fluttered in the breeze. The ministers' bodies zipped into bags, their faces unrecognizable, the forest a tomb for ambition. Nairobi ground to a halt, the news breaking on Citizen TV at 10:30 a.m., anchors' voices cracking. Tragedy in Gong, Saitoti and Ojode killed in chopper crash. Parliament adjourned in chaos. MPs streaming to the chambers. MPs streaming. Their faces ashen, whispers of conspiracy already swirling. Drug barons silencing the man who named them. Al-Shabaab avenging Somalia incursion. Moi, from his Dubai exile, issued a statement of shock. His words measured, a great loss, but investigations must be thorough. Kabogo and Juja rallied supporters, his voice booming on radio. Saitoti was a fighter. This smells of foul play. Joho, in Mombasa, called a presser at the port, his eyes hard. The report he carried, our names cleared, but who benefited from his silence? Sonko, ever the showman, tweeted fury. R.I.P. Prof. Cut the strings. Drugs or politics? Punjani, silent in his Mombasa villa, watched from shadows, his warehouses quiet but watchful. Kibaki addressed the nation at noon, his voice grave from State House. A national tragedy, Saitoti a patriot, Ojode a dedicated servant. Full inquiry promised. 3 days of mourning declared. Flags at half-mast. At half-mast. The streets filling with processions, Maasai elders in red shukas chanting for Saitoti's spirit. Lua drummers beating for Ojode. The ministers' bodies airlifted to Karomo mortuary. Autopsies revealing blunt trauma and burns. No poison or sabotage. The cause mechanical failure pending. Satoti's family in Kajiado wailed in traditional rites, his wives and children gathering around his photo. The report's draft leaked to media, names splashed across headlines. Satoti's last secret, MPs in drugs probe. The barons denied, their lawyers flooding courts with injunctions, but the seed planted, whispers of hits growing. Al-Shabaab tweeting justice for the oppressed, cartels in Mombasa toasting in shadow. The inquiry launched June 11th. Justice Kalpana Rawal, heading a commission, heard gavel falling on witnesses, pilot's log showing 240 hours on the Eurocopter, acquired January 2012 for $400 million. Maintenance log spotty. The battery, perhaps faulty, sparking fire. Overloaded by 11 kg, pilots inexperienced in the model, weather a factor. The storm's downdraft slamming the bird into the hill at 140 knots, rotors shearing, fuel exploding in a 2,000-degree inferno. Rawls report in September 2012 blamed negligence. Procurement rushed, training skipped. The chopper a lemon in Kenya police's fleet. But shadows lingered. Dubai calls traced to Mombasa ports. Kabogo's Judah guards doubled Yoho's coastal rallies, veiled threats. Sonko's tweets cryptic. Truth dies with the brave. Punjani's warehouses raided post-crash. Heroin bricks found taped to crates. His arrest a footnote. Bailed in days. Satori's funeral on June 16th at his Kitengela ranch drew 10,000 Kibaki eulogizing. A giant felled too soon. Raila Odinga tearful. My brother, the presidency, yours by right. Orwa Ojo's June 17th burial in Antigua swelled Lua crowds. Drummers pounding. His widow vowing his fight continued. The bodyguards and pilots followed. Quiet rites in villages. The forest crash a scar on Gong's hills. Herders avoiding the spot where acacia grew twisted. The drug report, tabled posthumously by Deputy Charity Angelou, cleared the names on lack of evidence. The barons triumphant, their empires intact. Moa's freight stations humming. Kabogo's estates rising. Yoho's port grip tightening. Sonko's flash enduring. Punjani's shadows deep. But Satori's ghost lingered. His dossier, a seed in anti-corruption soil. The 2013 elections, a battleground where drug whispers fueled campaigns. Uhuru Kenyatta's rise a twist, the Baron's influence undimmed. Kenya mourned, the rain easing to drizzles, but the storm of suspicion raged. Satori's crash a pivot in the drug war. His death, the price of truth in a land where power and poison intertwined. See you in the next video.